Okay, I'm so excited about today's video because I'm going to tell you about the three things that the hiring manager wants that's not in the job posting. Because people live and die by those job postings, especially when they read it and only have like 75 to 80% of the qualifications. They're like, okay, this just isn't for me. Pfft, no. So today, I cannot wait to dive into this. So let's get to it. I'll see you on the other side. Hi, my name is Sara. I'm a certified career and leadership coach. I help people find their dream jobs where they make more money, feel fulfilled and happy, doing work that they love while working less hours. I did not say that very effectively. You get the drift. My goal is for people to be hired and happy and that they just want to show up doing work that they love. So I come here every week and drop a new video. So if you want to make sure you don't miss any of them, hit that subscribe button and then like this video if you find it valuable and useful for you. Okay, let's dive in. The job posting. So I recruited for 15 years. Also, I did a lot of writing job descriptions for companies from that was my capstone project for a company during my HR education. Plus, I did it for quite a few companies in consulting and sort of just as a part of the job as a recruiter, because we're with job postings all the time, but conducting full evaluations. Like writing a job description is one of the most boringest things that you could ever do. And then what's generally happens is they take the description and they just use that as a job posting. So that's the thing. Job postings are often just the job description that's written by HR. That's it. And the job description encapsulates everything that you could ever do in that job. There's the things you do in the day to day, and the things that you may do once a year or once every couple of years. And we just want it there because we don't want to hear it's not my job description. So we put it in there, but we don't do it. So it doesn't matter. The other thing is job postings, like in an enterprise organization. So I want you to think like big tech, big bank, big consulting, big insurance. They usually have centralized job descriptions. So vastly different departments will share them. So, for example, you may have a sales support specialist within one of the big banks, but what they do for capital markets versus what they do for the retail banking unit versus commercial versus mortgage, like they all essentially do very different things, but they have a centralized posting or job description. So it's almost like the opposite of the job descriptions I was talking about, where they have everything and anything under the sun. Here, they have a very diluted version of what the role actually looks like. So, all that to say, job postings are often lacking in what the hiring manager really wants. So please do not live and die by those job postings. Do not. Now, I wanted to give you a little bit of education here on the recruitment process and what that looks like and how I would even know the three things that the hiring manager wants that's not in the job posting as a recruiter. So a recruiter gets assigned a job, like a job to fill. And the first thing that they do is they meet with the hiring manager and they discuss so many different things like the interview process, how they want resumes presented, do they want like a pre-screen done before? But the big thing is I would meet with the hiring manager to find out more about the role, like the nitty gritty of the role, their vision for the role, and what they are looking for in the role. And then most of the screening process, especially the interview process, is designed for what was said in that conversation. So it's annoying. Yes, because you don't really know what they want unless, as a recruiter, you have the ability and you don't always have the ability to rewrite the job posting. Now, most recruiters and talent acquisition specialists, this is something that we advocate for, that we rewrite them so we can get better quality candidates. But usually there are some rules in place that kind of prevent us from doing that. So oftentimes the job description is just telling a piece of the story and not the entire story. So I partnered with obviously countless hiring managers. And one thing I noticed in my 15 years of doing that is that I would hear certain things said over and over and over again that they really wanted. And sometimes this was the thing. They would be looking for this above everything else, and it was nowhere near the job posting or the job description. So I want you to know what those three things are so that you can start thinking about them in your branding. So in your cover letter, in your LinkedIn, in your resume, but especially once you get to that interview process so that your answers can be dripping with these things so that you can increase the likelihood that you get the offer. So, what are those three things that the hiring managers who really want that aren't in the posting? Well, thank you for asking. Let me tell you what they are. Okay, number one is critical thinking. Hiring managers want someone who does more than just follow the process. Like, I heard this all the time, especially as managers themselves and leaders themselves get busier and busier and need to like macro manage in a way, like almost sometimes even get too far away. They really need people who can critically think things through. So if something crosses their desk and they need to enter it into a system and it something feels off, that they just don't enter it into the system, that they question it and that they know how to question it and who to ask the questions to. They also want someone who can take a look at a process or who's going through the process and it's like, you know what, I think it would be quicker if we did it this way. They want a person who will then propose to update it and know how to go about updating it. Simply put, they want someone who is actively engaged with the work. And when you're actively engaged with it, you're always sort of critically thinking about it. So that critical thinking skill, where we very rarely actually see critical thinking on a job posting, that is the number one thing that I would see managers ask for at all levels, from entry level to leadership levels, is they want someone who can critically think their way through the work. Okay. The second thing hiring managers want that's not in the job posting is coachability. Hiring managers want someone who can take direction, that listens, that asks insightful questions, that has a desire to excel and improve, and who seek out constructive criticism. They want someone who they can coach to get better and who can trust that when they give criticism, that the person won't shut down or won't, in a constructive criticism, like let's be clear here, or they won't get defensive about it or have a list of excuses. There are people who simply really struggle to be coached, and uh, they're the worst. Like as a leader, they are the worst because they generally can also be poison. Like, and I always use Allen Iverson, super old school basketball example, but he was poison in the locker room. One of the best players. He had so much potential, but he was poison because he was not coachable. And that is what companies don't want, is they don't want someone who's not coachable and then who kind of sets the standard of not of being, let's no one be coachable. Like let's just, be toxic. No, no, they don't want that. They want someone who's coachable. And now one of the things I wanted to, I don't know if you heard, was I said asking insightful questions. So, one of the ways you can show your coachability is obviously some of your interview stories, but at the end of the interview is asking great questions. Honestly, hiring managers love that so much. And part of it was because, oh, this person critically thinks and this person is coachable. So I do have a video for you. So go watch this if you want to know what kind of questions that you should ask that will get the hiring manager excited and see your critical thinking and coachability skills. Okay, the third thing. And this is, I said critical thinking is the number one thing. Statistically, this is the number one thing. And it has been for my entire career. Like I learned about this in my HR education, and it has not changed. So the number one thing that hiring managers are looking for in a future employee is enthusiasm. They want someone who's excited about the job, who wants the job. They want someone who they want to work with and want to manage. And the saying infectious enthusiasm is really apt for the hiring process. It makes the hiring manager excited, enthusiastic about the employee. So you don't have to be. So sometimes people think, oh, well, then I have to be like this bubbly, outgoing person in an interview. You do not have to be. Enthusiasm, like, because that could also come across as really fake. Like, let's just be real here. Enthusiasm is from your actual excitement for the job. And it can showcase in the answer to the question why you want to work there. It can be showcased in all of your answers to interview questions. But oh my gosh, you know what else it can be showcased in? You asking insightful questions. Like it's crazy how one thing in an interview can showcase so many different things, but you being enthusiastic will mean you will want to ask questions. That was one of the, obviously I was a recruiter and now I'm a coach. So asking questions is a massive strength in that field. But that was definitely one of the things that I got a lot of compliments on was my ability to create conversation with hiring managers just by asking questions and being curious in an interview. Like honestly, I would go in with my prepared stuff because I'm a prepared person. I always have a list of questions I can ask any single person at any single time to try and avoid social awkwardness. Like that. But in an interview, I'm also open to changing those questions because I want to be genuinely curious about the role, about the company, about how I would work with the team, how I would work with the manager. So having those questions that showcase your critical thinking, your coachability, and your enthusiasm, perfect, perfect, perfect. So to recap, the three things hiring managers want that's not in the job posting: critical thinking, coachability, and enthusiasm. And you notice they're all soft skills. Let me know in the comments which one do you have? And if you want an idea on a question you can ask in an interview to really showcase those three, let me know. I'll help you out. I got so many questions. Okay, take care. I'll see you next week. Bye. If you liked this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss a single video. And join me in the Find Work You Love course. It is 8 years of expertise and knowledge, all curated into this course to help ensure that you find work you love, where you work less, make more money, and feel happy and fulfilled in your dream job, where you get to wake up every Monday morning excited instead of dreading your week to come. To grab the course, hit the link below. See you in there.